All right. Sorry, we're starting a couple minutes later. Just getting all my things sorted. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, animation is sick indeed. Thank you, Juno. Juno is a master with graphic design, video editing, etc., etc. He's a genius, absolute genius. Good morning, Brandon. Mr. Funded. Ian, how's it going? Good morning, Garrett. Hello, Lions. How's everybody doing today? I hope we're doing well. I hope we're ready to kick some fucking ass today. Pardon my French. Let me get this headset off. I was jamming out to the music with you guys. Happy to be here. Me as well, brother. Golden ratio capital. Relax, man. I just got here. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's dig in. So, quick high time frame look. 1, 2, past 3 weeks, bearish. We've now traded into a discount on the weekly, okay? This is the 50%. This orange line here. Discount on weekly, tagging into what? An old weekly BISI, tagging and taking the Q4 low from October. Now, what's that looking like on the lower time frames? Well, we can see the daily expansion leg lower here has been quite monstrous. Yesterday's close, fairly bullish. What we failed to do was close above this swing high here. Failed to close above this swing high here. SMT between ES and NQ at that high, you can see. There's that high. ES failed to get there. That was at the end of the day. We then closed below it, and we've still been failing to close below it. So that's kind of my line in the sand here for me, right? Because that would form a 4-hour breaker, and then that could suggest that we may see some relief higher. So until then, can't exactly get long. What I'm looking at right now is, quite frankly, nothing. We're more or less, like, since the close and the open, we've chopped, right? We didn't see any, remarkable SMTs at these highs here during London. There's nothing for me to really go off of on any high time frame. They all took same liquidity. I don't even know if there was, nothing there. Now we're kind of retracing back down into yesterday's daily range. Close below Asia low, 50-minute candles rejecting. As of right now, looks like we're headed lower. Some things to keep in mind, of course, are where other correlated assets are in relation to the previous daily low. When I see charts, when I see price action like this, guys, and there's very little that jumps out at me, just mark out your time-based liquidity levels, like your Asia low. This here is not a PM session low. PM session low would be over here. Just mark out like logical areas where we can likely see price trade to, right? So that for me is going to be obviously previous daily high, previous daily low. This is the London high. That's the Asia low. We swept Asia high during London. Now we're taking Asia low, closing below it. We had this previous PM session low, and this is the previous daily low here. So just want to keep an eye on these levels, right? This is the previous daily range. If we are bullish, we indeed want to kind of pop into discount and then continue higher from there. If we are going to continue bearish, then we are just not going to see any bullish sorts of confluences. So this is very much a noisy chart. There's a lot going on by way of there's a lot going on because there's nothing going on, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? We're not really seeing a whole heck of a lot. We're seeing a lot of chop. We don't have any sort of, external range liquidity or any sort of high time frame um, moves coming into play here. We are just kind of playing within yesterday's daily range, as you can see. So this can create some lower probability moves, some high resistance runs. So what we want to do is we want to just be patient, okay? It's NFP week. It's Wednesday of NFP week. The closer we get to NFP, the messier things can get, okay? Thankfully, we do have some volatility on our side that hopefully we can continue to roll out on and continue to capitalize on setups with that volatility. But we have to be careful still because the market is, whether we like it or not, still going to be waiting for that NFP data to be released, okay? And then that's going to give us a heads up on kind of the macro perspective of things. So it doesn't mean that we can't capture a setup. It just means that we have to be smart and we have to be extra vigilant when it comes to how we're grading our setups, okay? So as of right now, I don't really see anything. I don't have any SMTs. What I'm kind of looking for is, can YM get below previous daily low? Maybe ES gets below this 1500 low. I doubt it. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing NASDAQ take that low. And if we can form some sort of SMTs at the lows here, then I would consider capturing longs up into London high, previous daily high. Inversely, if we kind of trend higher from here with no confirmation of buys, then I'd just be looking for kind of an SMT there and then just basically capture the opposite of what I was looking for buys. So right now, sit and wait. We got the open at 9:30, coming in 17 minutes. We have 10 a.m. news. We have some, let me look so I can not lie to you guys. Manufacturing PMI at 10. Apparently Trump is speaking today as well. Oh, that reminds me. Today we have a potential for some more tariff talk, of course, because yesterday was a big day for tariff talk, right? Today, supposedly, Trump and Trudeau are set to speak. Not sure what time today. I imagine in the morning here sometime, and then Trump will probably chat about it in the afternoon, as is stated on the Forex Factory page. We'll see what shakes out there. See if they can, work something out or make a little bit of progress so that we don't have to have these tariffs on both ends of the spectrum. That would indeed be, for me, a short-term inflationary thing where we may not see bullish PA as a result from it. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that today. Make sure I'm on Financial Juice so I can give you guys updates. What else is on here? So we can see Mexico's President Sheinbaum. If necessary, Mexico will look for other trade partners. Mexico should be speaking with Trump Thursday morning. A lot of little updates. We had some ADP employment change. It was a big miss, probably like 50% of the forecast. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick, once reciprocal tariffs are in, they will stick. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Today, we're kind of waiting to see what happens between Trump and Trudeau, how they chat, if they get along, if they can work something out. Yeah. Yeah, I'm M15 plus, Chris. I don't drop the lower time frames to look for SMTs. Good morning. Ella, no, I don't use the seconds chart. What's up, Eden? How's it going, brother? ES trading into ESNY. I'm both trading into that 30-minute Sibi here. Come on. Right there. NQ failing too. Where's that 9 a.m. open? Okay. This could be something that you could look into. Basically, based on the fact that we don't really have a potential, a valid reversal for me, this could suggest continuation. What that will look like will be, can we get through these inefficiencies here? God, this magnet mode is pissing me off. Can we get below there? Use the 9 a.m. opening price. Trade below this breaker, and then continue. That would be what I'm kind of looking at. We got some volatility already. We got some pretty big ranges here prior to the open. Just from the 9 a.m. open to the high here where we created the SMT, we can already see like a 47 point manipulation off of that open. So go back to the 15 where it's safe. Let's focus in on this candle though for sure. And let's keep an eye on this 9 a.m. open. How's everybody's week going so far? Morning has been kind of ugly. Hopefully a clean AM session. Yeah, I really don't like trading prior to like 8:30, honestly. I know it moves sometimes, but like for me, I think the edge really lies in like trading that like most of the time that 9:30 to 11 window instead of like getting on beforehand kind of in that dead period between 5 a.m. and 8:30. As of right now, the high time from SMT that we're working with most recently is going to be this Sibi here. We have a 15-minute breaker from London that we have used to propel lower. We want to see closures get below the PM session low as well. We target these lows here. It all depends on what this 4-hour candle does. If this 4-hour candle continues to close heavy, and then we maybe go form SMT at the lows, maybe we can get a 10 a.m. reversal, or 10 a.m. may want to continue if we don't create any SMTs. So it's very much a let's just wait and see type of dealio. This breaker is kind of ugly anyway. I'd like to see, that more classic look for a swing point. Doesn't have to do it though. Things that felt like they're clicking, like analysis trades, thanks to you and all the trade community. Happy to hear that, brother. Very happy to hear that. Good job, good work. Give yourself a pat on the back for that one. Waiting to see what 10 a.m. shows personally. With that PM session taken out, preferably the lunch low from yesterday, all inside that M15 breaker. Yeah, looks like it's heading there. Lunch low isn't exactly something that's too important to me. This PM session low though for sure. I guarantee it will take yesterday's low. All right, well, you run with that guarantee. I'm going to not speak in absolutes. Morning, panels. We could take it, form S&T with the S and then move higher. Yeah, absolutely we could. But speaking in absolutes is something that I never do. Doing that, for me, tends to lead to trouble. I'm going to let it show me that it wants to go there. All right, see you later, Eden. For me, this year is being very difficult to trade futures. January was a terrible month. February was good. In March, I am more focused on risk. What's your opinion about 2025 beginning? In terms of how the yearly usually delivers, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, start of the year is kind of the yearly accumulation, so you're gonna see choppy price action like this. February was pretty good because we had a nice run higher and then we had a nice run lower. I think it's okay. Granted, you just understand what phase of delivery you're in, right? If you can understand the likelihood that we're likely to range on the daily on higher time frames to begin the year, you can kind of gauge your interest based off of that and not exactly look for trending targets. Um, from there, right? You'd kind of just have to. You would have probably done quite well had you just, focused on trading this range high and this range low, shorting the premium of the highs, longing the lows, right? So it's all about perspective, right? As for how the yearly's going and what I anticipate for later, I can't say with any sort of high degree of confidence what I think is going to happen on the year because I'm here trading intraday. So something that I could do is I can look at seasonal tendency, right, and pair, other fundamentals like, you know, historical data using seasonality, utilizing, what's going on currently in the economy. Who's in charge of a lot of the volatility right now? Trump, right? So like it's about keeping an eye on what's going on with him, keeping an eye on, historical seasonality, keeping an eye on premium discount levels from a high time frame perspective, SMTs from a higher time frame perspective, you know, and having a whole heck of a lot of patience. I mean, every year we get to March, April, May ish, um, and we start to get bearish. Yet the market just continues to trade higher. That's taking aside the point of 2022, where 2022 is bearish, but that was, you know, due to extreme circumstances caused by COVID. Every year, the market is this. The index futures, speaking to ES and NQ and YM or any sort of equity asset, risk on asset, it's predisposed to go higher. So if we look at this, right, you can see January accumulation, February kind of engineer some liquidity at these highs. March here, this is March, right? March has a lot to do with the yearly open low high close, right? It's kind of gearing up for the next quarter. You can kind of anticipate some accumulation to be out of the way, and then we can start to see some runs going into summer. August tends to be slow, as you could see, and then we kind of gear up for Q4 in October, and then we can see another run higher. So you can see the market just moving in ranges, trends, ranges, trends, ranges, trends. So we just ranged for January. February set that high there. And then we've kind of trended downwards into the opening of March. And probably start to see a little bit of added volatility and some larger scale moves. Could you get your mic volume up? Kane is too loud. I can't lower the volume on Discord. I could increase it a little bit. How's the volume for everyone else? A lot of the time, like, I think it's I'm not exactly speaking super loud. I don't really want to speak super loud, but I'll turn up my volume a little bit here. I think it's fine for everyone else though. Okay. Yeah, I turned it up a little bit for you, bro. Yeah, it's good audio. I have a good mic. Okay. What do we got here? Well, it's just 9 a.m. open. We have 9:30 coming in like a moment, so like there's nothing going on here. Let's look at high time frame. Flip that 9 a.m. open. See what happens right at 9:30. How we utilize that 9 a.m. open. Actually, I want to just witness that on a lower time frame. That's that Asia low. Keep in mind. You can lower the volume. There's a certain setting you can lower individual volume. You might just be turned up to like over 100%. All right, everybody. Good luck today. Let's see what goes on. At the moment, we had that SMT with the 30-minute SIBI. Failed to close below that 9:30 open. At 9:15, YM took that 9 a.m. high, or 9 a.m. low, pardon me. That 9:30 open marked out too. I don't see anything. Oh, excuse me. 9:30 kind of respecting that 9 a.m. opening price. You have 9:15 and 9 a.m. candle SMT with YM. Not something that I am at all interested in. We need bigger fish. Let me see. I missed some fucking questions here. Billy said, "Hey, new to the channel. Are you an ICT charter student or did you learn from the free content?" I am not a charter student. I was a 2022 student learning the 2022 mentorship model. Remember the time motherfuckers are guaranteeing guarantees from their mom's couch. What are the 4 indicators you use? New day divider. This is two degrees tools, stat map, and this is the Judas and daily range meter that kind of measures ADR, average daily range. And then this is just a watermark to show the asset and my little name there. That's all. Close below that breaker there now. Could see that act as resistance. Again, not what I'm interested in. What's up, JB? Good morning, Haytham. How do you get the 2 degrees tool? You go to their WAP and you pay for it. I like the stat map. What's the stat map? It is short for statistical mapping. OHLC statistical mapping. I actually have to update. Oh, whatever. So what it is, right, is it tracks statistical data on previous candles, open, high, low closes. It shows the average range of those daily and any time frame you want candles. So if we utilize what it measures is the open, of course, the average manipulation based on the past however many candles. I think it tracks quite a few years of data. And it measures distribution. So average manipulation and average distribution. Why that's important is because oftentimes it will line up with where we typically do see highs and lows form. You'll typically see, for example, if this is the daily open, this is the average bearish manipulation, this is the bullish manipulation, you're typically going to see it open up, kind of consolidate in between those 2 manipulation levels, bounce off of them or near them, and then you can see it kind of gives you a lens into what you're looking at on the daily or any sort of high time frame. I like them when they pair well with my liquidity objectives. So like this session low here, this previous PM session low lines up with that daily distribution level. That's important for me. You can also toggle it to use the midnight open as your daily open as well. And you can see it'll give you a little bit of a different value based off the midnight open. You can see we tagged it quite nicely off of the midnight manipulation. And now we traded through. You see how we struggled to get through the daily manipulation for bullish. Now we've closed through it. Now we're using it as resistance. That's a hint, right? Yeah, here's my settings on StatMap. They did a wonderful job with this indicator. I like to pop it on. I don't use it religiously or anything, but it does provide some help to kind of gain an insight into the high time frame. Yeah, you're welcome. Good morning, Dale. Okay. ES forming a bullish open low high close candle so far. Formed equal highs there with the 915 candle. YM rated the shit out of that high. NQ dropping lower now. Let's keep an eye on this previous PM session low here. It's in discount of the previous daily range. I'd argue it's bang on OTE too. Yep. If we can see NQ get below there, ES fail to. ES is looking kind of light right now, so it may not get down into there. So if we can see an SMT form there, we could probably monitor that. Very interesting. Which mentorship did ICT teach that in? He didn't. This is strictly just open, low, high, close data. This has nothing to do with ICT. This is simply just statistical data of average manipulation and distribution and manipulation times. The New York PM is a one trading setup for life type stuff. Yeah, exactly. Session liquidity, pairing it with old session liquidity. So right, this is an old PM session high, this is a PM session low. If we take this low and form SMT at it, we can then frame the PM session high to get taken. So like it basically just gives you a range that you're working within. So we're working within this range, right? Annotated by this. I'll just use this range low and this range high. This is your PM session range. So if we form SMT and see a setup form from here, we can then already direct our attention to where the draw is for the, and basically coincide and correlate and pair our SMR area with the corresponding draw on liquidity, which is going to be PM session low to PM session high. I want to see us take this low though. That gets us into this 15-minute breaker again. This would be a turtle soup into OTE of the previous daily range. And we'd mark SMT. So now, once we get into there, I want to actually see where it is in accordance with standard deviation. I don't believe it'll be -2. -2 is just below here. The London swing. Yeah. You see how we just failed to get to that low? I can see this going to form a breaker, take that low, confirm that SMT once we trade above the breaker, and then you can find your entry. I don't really have an interest if it only has the SMT with the 9am low. I'd like to see the session low. I know it took this low here. We do have SMT with that low. So if it wants to get above this series of candles here, get above the 930 open, we could probably anticipate that this low is actually going to be remained open, and we're going to use the 1500 low. Yeah, that is tricky. It's also a pretty big stop. That's tough. I honestly don't want to see that happen. Preferably, I'd like to see us take this low. But if it inverts this, it's suggesting that it probably wants to target higher prices. ES is ripping again. YM's ripping again. NQ might want to catch up. Use this inversion for some level of support to get higher. Close above that 930 open as well. Yeesh, that is a wicked rip. That's a good buyback. 2.5 lines up with the previous daily high. I can't really buy that. I want to get some discount. I'd be willing to be patient on this. See it confirm that breaker. get a retracement into this BISI and this balanced price range, go from there. That would be something I'd be willing to do. Actually, I gotta go 3 micros. So, what are we seeing right now? We've got ES barking up that high there. It's not really session liquidity at all. The London session is probably going to be the first area where we can see an S&T form. Gotta be patient here. I don't want to chase this because I don't want to put like 2 micros on. I want to, or 1 micro. I'd have to put 1 micro on here realistically if I were to enter up here, which I just don't want to do. I'd like to see us get down at least into, this 3-minute order block here. I see it create the breaker too, though. There's the breaker. Now I want to see a cut down into discount into that BITC. So that BITC and that IFVG. Otherwise, I'm missing it just due to stop size in general. Still on yesterday's lunch lows, but I may just be being stubborn. Well, think about it this way. We've taken a 3 previous hourly low. This is pretty significant low. You could argue that there's probably engineered liquidity or liquidity resting at either one of these. Who's to say which one has more? From there, we've got an SMT and we have a breaker and we have a flip of the 930 open. So like you have a lot of confluence there. My only issue is the breaker did form with SMT. Doesn't exactly have a breaker there though. I think I'd be willing to stab this. If we can get down there though. The risk is that this PM session low has remained open. But I want to see if this 3 p.m. low is going to be enough. Enough to hold it. Take that BISI. I think it did. Do a builder entry, and then if I get back down into here, I'll add my other one, and then that'll put me at about my max risk. I like this setup. I do. Because if you think about it, right? Let's look at these two lows in particular from yesterday, okay? Oh, actually, I might get an ad here. All right. Let's leave that alone for now. Why do I like this low here being taken? And then we frame a setup forming from this low. Between the 1 p.m. low and the 3 p.m. low, we have SMT there. So this low was responsible for forming SMT. Now NQ has gone to sweep it, ES has failed to. So that would honestly make this a sufficient enough low for me to target longs from. My setup has formed. We're getting a retracement like I wanted into that discount. A little more than I bargained for, but that's all right. It can come down into this BISI. How we react from here is going to be telling. I want to see his bounce out of here, though. It's not looking good, bruv. So some potentials is if it goes for this low, takes that PM session low, we'll have to wait and just see what happens again. We got some 945 SMT with YM. YM also trading well above that 730 high, 745 high. So kind of on its last leg here, it has to show me something. Otherwise, I quickly lose faith in it. But we're in it. We have to sit with it. I got to see this leg kind of get disrespected here. We don't really have any inefficiencies to invert, but it has inverted this guy here and not quite yet this guy, but this is a pretty deep cut into discount. So this is honestly looking like it might be a future L, which is cool in my, like, I'm not really concerned too much about it. I like the setup, but I'm not in charge of the outcome. If it inverts this, though, meaning get below this low, we're likely cooked. And then it's going to go for this low here. And that's kind of the only warning sign. The only thing that's kind of standing in the way. Maybe it does want this low, right? That's kind of up for debate. Yeah, 10 a.m. news coming in 9 minutes too. So I want to see us get away swiftly. Has to show me something here. What's our average entry? 419.5. Yikes. What would be sweet is 950 macro, just straight up distribute higher. This would be the 945 open low, high close. If we could flip that, get back above 930 open, that would generate a lot more confidence in the position for me. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly the same kind of thing what I explained too. Yep. We're not afraid to push buttons up in here. No, sir. Do you often take trades before news? If my model presents, yeah. Do I take it like right before news? No. Like I've been in for a few minutes now, like 15 minutes before news. If it's like around here, not exactly. So like I don't love that we're coming up on news and we're still in drawdown near my stop. I don't love that. The idea is that I anticipate that we already saw 930 forming the manipulation. We can get higher and then we can get 10 a.m. forming the distribution. However, it's good to note what's going on in the 4 hour candle, right? This 4 hour candle does not look very promising. So I need to see something. My stop's going to get taken though before news, which is fine. That suggests that I probably would have been stopped at news anyway. So what I wanted to see, right? I wanted to see us get away from here quickly to kind of give us a chance to have a 10 a.m. candle open higher and get into our draw. This suggests to me that that's just not happening. It's going to take this low, form this breaker, take this PM session low, and then we're going to have a different setup to kind of look at. I don't believe I've been stopped yet either. No. Why is that stuck there? That's fucking weird. There we go. Been on a cold streak here on streams. Big time, big cold streak. It's been like the days I fade the 930 open, or the days I miss a banger setup, and then the days I don't fade it, are the days we get wrecked. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. There we go. We out. Yes, taking that 9 a.m. low. Why I'm failing to. Yes, still not at that 3 p.m. low. We took the PM session low now too. We got 10 a.m. right around the corner though, so let's not get pushy. Let's sit with this loss a little bit and let's regroup. There's nothing here anyway yet. This is a heavily bearish 4 hour candle closure. I can't frame longs now. Like, it's way too soon. 9:30 had a chance to get above and provide at least maybe a reversal 4 hour candle and get back above that Asia low, but not now. This is bearish. 10 a.m. could very well just open up and just absolutely melt. Just made 7R in the short. It will take yesterday's low. Good shit. Let's mark out that yesterday's low. Let's see if bro's right. There's the 10 a.m. news. Hilarious. The market heard you online, man. How did that number come out? Just a little bit above forecast. It will still drop. I don't get why you speak in absolutes like that, brother. I really don't. I mean, if it works for you, go for it. But you're speaking like from a very self-righteous standpoint. And I don't know why, but you do you, I guess. Some people like to come in here and flaunt, Joey, that's all. And that's fine. I just really won't entertain it anymore. In terms of 4 hour open high low close though, we opened up with a devil's mark and we just kind of are running back up into the wick. I'm not exactly thinking that this is a bullish print. This is probably just manipulation. $137 breaker. How are you? Let's see. Would I have even been able to get in on that breaker? How would my risk have been? Would have been 2 mics. Probably could have done it. If we can get back down into that breaker, I'd be interested, honestly. The only con is kind of, yeah, the only thing going against us, measuring pros and cons, would be that this is a devil's mark here. This is probably going to miss me anyway. That 930 open bounce was crazy. Now he's backpedaling. Funny. You were so confident before. Okay, that's like the last time I'm gonna tell you to stop speaking in absolutes, I swear. Don't guarantee shit. That would insinuate that you think you know more and that you're better than the market. Like, stop that shit, honestly. Speaking in absolutes like that does not show any sort of experience, it shows naivety. Due to risk, can't step in. That breaker formation and tag into it was real nice, honestly. 2.5 lines up with that previous daily high again. It would be quite something if this 4 hour candle closed bearish like this, only for it to rip the entire range. I'm chilling too. After that initial loss, I'm fine with that. Fine with sitting out for a sec. I think they could print Colorado. I think they could print. Where was there a breaker? Find it. It's staring at you in the face. Oh yeah, 100%. There being a lot of 100-point stops. That's just added volatility. Volatility is higher, so your ranges are going to be bigger. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, wizardry. See if it can trade above this 5 minute and close above there. Is Alex live? I don't know. You should go find out. I don't think he's not live in the lab. That's a juicy 5 minute breaker. If it forms, came in late. Yeah, I was a little early with an entry here, got stopped, and then I missed this. But this is valid. 952 breaker. That retag into it, I think that's valid. If we form this 5 minute breaker too, that adds confluence. We got SMT here with the 745 high with ES now. YM still looking pretty bullish. Kind of knocking on the door. They're failing to form that 5 minute. Actually, it just did by like 2 ticks. Yeah, there's gonna be a delay with stream, for sure. YouTube has a delay. It's not like Discord. I'm using the I think I'm using the second highest latency. I can't use the highest latency because I don't have a 1440p monitor. What high opportunity liquidity sweeps did it take? This one was the 315 or 345 low. This took the previous PM session low. We have SMT here with the S now. At the previous PM session low, that 5 minute breaker forming is nice. We have this 5 minute BISI here that it could probably get down into. In order for me to get engaged, though, get involved, I need to see is get back down into discount and see if it gives us a lucky strike. Hey man, I'm doing good. How are you? How was February? February was okay. Wasn't by any means amazing. There was some opportunity, but I mean, late February was tough. It was giving a lot of, not giving a lot of entries based on kind of what I usually like to see. So it was more or less the end of the month was a little bit lighter, but I wouldn't say it was too bad. What's up, Brandon? You looking for the 15-minute breaker? We haven't formed it yet. But no, I'm looking for a cut into discount. Like I like this breaker to go higher. This guy here. This series of candles. This candle right here is exactly the moment where I was yapping. So I'd like to see us kind of get a little lower. Then frame an entry off of that. I don't really have the cojones to anticipate that we're going to get below here and then just buy that. I more or less wouldn't hate to see if we can get below there, form a setup to confirm. So something I can get in on. That would be ideal. $15-minute 10 a.m. close pretty bullish. How do I like the idea of sweeping the 10 a.m. devil's mark without taking the 957 low? Ooh, that's a tall order. It's a very tall order. This devil's mark here is kind of why I'm waiting for confirmation on the other side. Yeah, it's because I was yapping. Absolutely, because I was yapping. Some things to keep in mind. We have that S&T at these highs here. Still. Here. Now we're forming a breaker. I like this less and less, to be honest. Got this breaker here too. I've got kind of conflicting info. So I could frame longs, I could frame shorts, right? The SMT we have on the for the shorts is not exactly session liquidity by any stretch. I'm actually deeply considering just buying it, but yeah, H4 and H1 both look pretty bearish. Absolutely, that's the thing, right? That's why I'm not exactly itching to get long right from here. H1 and H4 both are like pointing extremely bearish. This could be a 4-hour IRB. Thinking this is going to get cooked, honestly. Where does this standard deviation line up? Not too bad. Closes below this low here too. Yeah, this is probably going to go back to the lows. All because there's 10 a.m. devil's mark here too. Again, stops are too big. Despite this probably going to be pretty good. Yeah, I can't really long this. Longing this with like immediate conflicting criteria against me is a no-no for me. I can make a strong case for shorts. Can I get in down here? No. There she goes, boys. There she goes. So, some criteria. The fade longs here. Well, the long looked good at 10:02. What happened after that was the information provided. So you would have been able to get out and profit. So, right, we formed SMT at these highs up here, okay? Yeah, we'll just go like that. Formed SMT at those highs there. From there, 10 a.m. using that narrative, right? Looking at the 4-hour close bearish, hourly close bearish. 10 a.m. ran higher. We get a breaker here inside of the 950 1010 macro. Forming that SMT, we close below it, 930 open, and we continue to melt from there. Now we've closed below 10 a.m. open, and we've IFVG, we've inverted this 10 a.m. news Bissy. And it's kind of in a position where I can't short it. I wasn't looking to short up here. I really wasn't. I was still kind of stuck on seeing what happens down here. But see what shakes out. That's a crazy buyback. Yeah, I don't really use bias, honestly. Bias for me gets me in trouble. If I get stuck to one side, I let the market show me where it wants to go. And for that I utilize concepts like premium discount, higher time frame liquidity, S&T, breakers, things like that. Right? I let this point me in the direction of where the candles are likely to go. And of course, just looking at high time frame candles, right? This buy here looks bullish. Yes. Or that break there looks bullish. But you have to keep in mind, right? Like we looked here. This 4-hour candle closed extremely bearish. So did this one. That makes it hard to want to get higher, right? Because this candle is not really opening low and running high. It's just it opened and immediately went higher. That tells me that this is probably just a fake out wick to go lower. 10-minute candle delay, is that possible? Yeah, you have to buy live data from CME. That's why you're seeing the delay. That is why, man, I got nothing to do here. I missed this short. Took that L there. We're very much, I could tell my wits weren't about me in this moment up here. And that's fine. Gonna move on from it. All right. If that's so, why can't I just tell you what's gonna happen for the next 10-minute candle then? What do you mean? You have a 10-minute delay. Your 10 minutes, your candles are printing 10 minutes behind. Wouldn't that be nice though, hey? I'd pay you a lot of money to tell me what the next 10-minute candle does. That'd be nice. Would be very nice to see into the future like that. Yeah. If it breaks this low here, like it's cooked. I just can't get in. Can't get in. I wouldn't be long here though. That's tough though, because this breaker setup was valid. But I was wrestling with the idea of this breaker as well, right? So I, instead of force trading along or trying to get in short, I just did nothing, and I'm letting the market show me what it wants to do instead. Because if I would have gotten short here, I would have been wrestling with the idea that I had just previously wanted to long from here. And if I got long from here, then I'd be wrestling with the idea that we had the SMT and the breaker forming here. So like that immediately puts me at like a at like a 50-50 um, point. I don't like to say bias 50-50 narrative. Like I could make a case for either side. That to me, as much as it pains me to do that, to sit sideways or to sit flat, sidelined, that's the right word. 50-50 is not an edge for me. I need to know with confidence, like 70% and higher, that we're going in one direction or the other. If I'm entering on 50-50, then that's when emotions can kind of come into play and you can kind of bounce back and forth. Yeah, I use fair value gaps with breakers as well. Yeah. We're getting, yeah, 70 points on the wicks. It's fucking crazy, man. You have to be really early or you have to have a lot of capital to risk. I can't really do that. I could be early, but I can't always get into every setup. And I definitely cannot enter late in this. In other markets, in lower volatility, yeah, I could probably make a case for getting in. Like I could probably squeeze an entry in here on this retracement for a close proximity. But like that in and of itself is like, yeah, 10 points away from the breaker. Like I'd like to kind of keep it tight for my close proximity entries. So like the stops are already massive. So a lot of the time, especially when you're trading micros, you have to kind of just let some moves pass you by. I don't come into the day, needing to take a trade. Yeah. The only opportunities for me would be this one here that we took a loss on. Highest probability setup? No. Well, we'll journal it though, and I'll talk a little bit about why I thought it was lower probability. It was valid to take, but not my highest probability setup. I don't have a limit for stops. I just whatever I'm allowed to risk, right? So I'm risking 500, between 500 and 600 per trade. So like, but I also don't want to throw on just like one micro. So like if I'm having like 100-point stops, that would be 500 divided by 100 is 5. So like I'd be able to get like 2 micros on. But that's not really great for me. I'd like to get in a little bit more size. So I'm allowing myself to just be a little choosy. But in terms of like stop size, like I'm probably not going to trade on like 120 plus point with a 120 plus point stop loss. I just won't. How you use TradeZella for your trading? Well, it's a great journal. A journal, track your data, backtest. You can do lots with it. You just have to want a journal and want a backtest. But it's a great program. A lovely program. Yeah, it gives you like really good insights. All of your tracked data and everything. It's awesome. Running back higher into this. This is gross though. I won't long from this. That's for sure. There's no breaker to long from anyway. This is gross. If anything, it's retracing potentially up into this 5-minute Sibby. Keep an eye out for that. Yeah, you shouldn't not journal just because you find it boring. That's, yeah, it's not supposed to be fun. It's just a rite of passage. It's something you have to do. All the best traders in the world journal, and their trading day isn't done until their trades are journaled. You're missing out on a lot of opportunity to grow also by not journaling. Regarding that long you took earlier, was there any high time frame PD arrays you were looking at support price from there? Yeah, higher time frame liquidity here, 15-minute breaker. Like we took this 3 p.m. low. I know we missed this low here, but we had previous SMT at this low. And then NQ went to take it, creating more SMT. So while it's not the Pico low of the PM session that I was looking at here, it's still printed a valid setup. But yeah, in terms of high time frame PD arrays, hourly OB, 15-minute breaker, the liquidity most importantly. Oh, you record your trades, you record your journaling just through voiceover and use ChatGPT. That's pretty cool. Yeah, have fun with it. Try to make it fun in any way you can. Two 5-minute bullish candles. Yep. I'm not doing anything in here, folks. I'm not doing anything in here. Tapping back up into that open and that breaker. I'm not interested in anything. If I went long, it would be currently working out. But we're smacking up into this breaker here. It's looking pretty bullish though. Either way, I had and still do kind of have conflicting info, so it's best if I sit. Which you guys probably don't want to hear, but that's all right. I'm just here to trade my model. Yeah, exactly. Like, look at this. We're so stuck. Back up into this breaker. It's kind of like a make or break area. It's either going to use that breaker and then rip to the lows, or it's going to just continue to grind higher. Good night, brother. Thank you for tuning in. 4:40 a.m. That's crazy. Inverted that 5-minute. Running back up into that 1-minute breaker in premium. That's a crazy reaction. Crazy good reaction from that. See that 9:30 open and the 9 a.m. open? Then I mean the 9 a.m. isn't really that important, but the 9:30, look at it now, right? Respecting, holding price lower. We're kind of dedicating ourselves to tape read right now, honestly. It's a 10 a.m. open. Let's mark that guy out. Actually, let's use one of these. Change that to 10. Again, I have nothing to do. Nothing to do here whatsoever. We're just barcoding. This is where I think a lot of people can run into trouble too. They can trade this leg, anticipate buys, get ran up against, and then begin anticipating shorts. And then once it gets up into their short POI, they're already thinking longs. Like it's when in reality, it's just trying to do this to generate liquidity. It's if you're constantly entering and exiting or whatever flipping, like you're basically doing what they want, and that's generating liquidity. So it's best to just kind of sit back and watch, right? I don't have an edge here right now. I have a case for both sides when I'm 50-50, like I said. For those that didn't hear me before or those that are late to join, when you're 50-50 like this, when I can make a case for shorts off of this breaker, or I can make a case for longs off of that breaker, we have SMT on both sides, that to me says just absolutely stay out. Don't even entertain it. Because like for that exact reason, the market showed you a long trigger, and then immediately after it showed you a short trigger with the SMT up here, followed by this breaker. So now we displace lower from that. Now we're running back up into that high, potentially making people think that we're going to go long, right? But it could just slam back lower again. So this has potential to make traders very emotional, extremely emotional. There are some days where I might even get emotional about it. Like for me, like I have to kind of separate myself from how I'm feeling and understand that it does just because I'm feeling a certain way, it doesn't dictate any sort of actions that I have to carry out. What's important is I'm managing my risk and I'm not inserting myself in what I know is a lower probability environment. So yeah, exactly. High resistance liquidity, holding pattern for sure. I honestly think this has legs to go lower just because of what the most recent expansion leg did, and then based on how this 10 a.m. closed. But again, you have conflicting info because you have the SMT at the previous PM session low here in discount at the previous daily range. We're kind of battling inside right now. If you mark up 50% of the previous daily range, you can see we're chopping at 50%. That's hard to make a case. So, and then digging deeper into the fractal nature of it, right? Yes, we have this SMT here. But what does that SMT and breaker led us to do? Expand higher, yes, but then form conflicting information by forming the SMT with these 7 a.m. highs, and then we formed a breaker forming against it. So like, you really got to just sit back. All-time high soon. Hey, that'd be sweet, wouldn't it? I agree, heart pumper. 12 minutes left on the hour. The hourly candle is looking kind of gruesome. We took 9 a.m. high. We traded back to the open. That's about all we've done so far. Hmm. Eat that lunch low with SMT and send us long, brother. If it didn't want to go long from this PM session low, then I don't think it's gonna want to go long from a fucking internal low like this. If it's gonna start showing shorts here, then I think PDL is on the docket, especially if we start closing below this low here. Like you had one, two opportunities to take sell side, print SMT, form a breaker, and both of them are not really panning out. So that's indicative of one of two things. It's either chopping and we're just going to keep generating liquidity, or it's going to dump. Let a man be delusionally hopeful. Well, you and I both know that when you let that happen, it's going to lead to poor decision making because that's an ego-led desire right there. As soon as you give in to those ego-led desires, you are going to be owned by the market. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Like same thing for that gentleman that was calling PDL as a guarantee. That's an ego-led desire. His ego is thinking that he knows everything. That's not good. You have one job as a trader. Once you have back tested your model and found your edge and everything, and you've done your work, you have one job. Execute the fucking model. Execute. That's it. Don't say, well, I think you could do this. No, 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 no. That's just virtue signaling. Don't do that. Your model sets up, take it. You're being given criteria to suggest you should stay out, stay out. We're both talking about ego right now. That's hilarious. What's his topic? What sparked that in a different way? I'd be curious to hear how he's talking about it. His ego in real life. He's got an interesting take on ego. I've had chats with him about it too. You should definitely listen to him, not me, about ego. I've got a pretty bad ego at times. It's hard to keep it away from trading too. Don't have much ego. No. Now here's a quiz. What if I told you I think you do have lots of ego? What would you say to that? How would you guys describe what the ego is? I like to refer to the ego as almost like a tyrant. Here, before I get into that, I'd be curious to know what you think, why you think that, and understand that maybe you have insight to something I'm not aware of. Good answer. If you don't have ego, then you don't really care what other people think. That's kind of the point I'm making. I'm not saying that you have a big ego. Everyone has an ego, though. An ego is a survival instinct. Your ego tells you to worry when you're not doing well because you may get kicked out of the tribe. right? Like it's a survival instinct that goes way back to prehistoric times where it tries to protect you and it tries to make you seem better than you are. Now, when you're in a field like this, a performance based field where there's money on the line, that tends to get in the way because we direct human nature, modern and I guess not so much prehistoric, but modern society says that a lot of a person's success is based on how much money they make or how successful they are. Success is tied to money for a lot of these people. Um, but the thing is the ego believes that the money is the byproduct or the not the byproduct, the factor that influences success. But the process is what brings that money, right? So you kind of have to rewire your brain because if you think that you're a good trader, but you're losing money or you lose a trade, your ego is going to be hurt and it's going to want to take over to protect you, right? Yeah, I see what you're saying, Lee. I know what you mean. Um, the ego is also I like to refer to the ego kind of like a tyrant. It's like a little tyrant in your head. It likes to. It's where self sabotage comes from. Ego is also where you can make irrational decisions for sake of protecting your reputation, right? It's the little tyrant in your head that says, "Oh, you just took a loss, like you're a loser, you should make it back now," you know, or "Oh, Price took your stop and then ran without you. Um, you should get back in again because you're right." Like it's those sorts of things. Ego is very complex and it varies person by person based on their past experiences. But in the end, it's a survival instinct. I'm actually curious to Google what the ego is. The definition of ego. Yeah, a person's sense of self esteem or self importance. Basically ties in with what I said. Basically, your sense of personal identity. And when that's threatened, i.e., you lose a trade, you lose money, that's when things like tilt can happen. Yeah, the model is more important. The model is, right? I mean, the outcome in trading, right, is to make money. There's no doubt about that, right? We can't hide from that. If we didn't make money trading, we wouldn't be doing it, right? But focusing on this yields to irrational decision making, emotional decision making. You have to focus less on making money and you have to focus on what can I do to make money? And what you can do to make money is have a step by step process that you've back tested that has edge over time. Your job is to execute that. So that is what yields money. That is what brings you monetary gain, i.e., money is the byproduct of it. So therefore, your focus should be on this, not this. It's easier to say than do, but the number one thing that will get you to that point is number one, over hundreds, is having a back tested model with edge over hundreds or thousands, preferably thousands of trades. Knowing that your edge delivers money over time. That's short. It'll teach you that short-term results are random. When did you get to the point of accepting a loss without wanting to chase price afterwards? Um, I wouldn't say I've gotten to that point yet. There are still days where I do chase a little bit. and I mess up. But I just have the I try to practice, some self-compassion and understand that it's okay to make mistakes. And you can, you know, let's say like this is your equity curve, right? Let's say you're here, you take a loss, and then you take another loss because you chased. Okay, in terms of equity curve, if you get back on track from this point on, from this point right here, you made one mistake and you forget about it. If you go back to trading normally, your equity curve will remain like that. Okay, this point right here is kind of like a breaking point. Okay, now pay attention. You were consistent through all of this. You took your wins, you took your losses, you didn't let them affect your decision making. Here, you slipped up. At this point, you took a loss, you slipped up, and you made a mistake and you chased. You bought your stop or whatever that may be. You overtraded. It gave you a little bit more of a loss. But as soon as you made that mistake, you decided, okay, that's a mistake. I got to stop myself. I have to be done. That's the breaking point. You can go one of two ways. You can continue to fall under tilt, which is very easy to do, and you could lose significantly more amounts of money. Or you can learn some self-compassion, give yourself a break, understand it's okay to make mistakes. I don't need to fix it right now. I'm just going to come back later and go about my business as usual. I'm going to let go. So this is kind of like that fork in the road. The hard part and the sign that a trader has truly, made it is they can make mistakes like this, which they do, and they can choose to take the hard right over the easy wrong. That right there is the number one sign of a profitable trader, in my opinion. Their ability to make a swift decision for the betterment of their future and not for the betterment of their short term. Now that is absolutely number one. Like that is probably like the best example I could give. Okay. So I don't have that yet. There's times where I do bite. But that's because it's hard to make that decision, that hard right? So you have to constantly remind yourself of why you're doing this. What's your purpose? What's your process? Remaining present on your action and your goals, right? Yes, exactly. Your ego, yes. If you don't know what price is doing or what price is likely to do, your ego will step in and it'll automatically make you feel anxious. You'll almost be put into a situation where you feel if I don't get this right, if I don't know where price is going right now, I'm going to fail. But really, all you have to do is just step away. My backtesting process, yeah, I just go into old data and I execute my model. That's it. That's really it. You just have to execute your model. If people don't know how to backtest, it means they don't have a model to backtest in the first place. Right? So if that's your step 1, gather a model, make it simple to start. Start backtesting it. Start backtesting the 2022 mentorship model. Go from there. See how you fare. See what your win rate is. Maybe the win rate's a little too low. Maybe the average R to R is a little bit too low. Then you have to tweak things. Okay, let's go back into these old trades. Let's find out what went well. Where was I maybe leaving some money on the table? What were some of my losses? What could I have done to fix those losses? That's where you refine. So it's important that you do that, right? So backtesting is quite literally just the same thing as you would with trading. You play the candles, you play them slowly, get a read on where price is going, and you execute. You collect data. If it's a loss, you don't try to fix it right away. You don't try to avoid it. You don't cheat the system. You just let it come. Let your data play out. Once you get a few hundred trades in, then you look back and you try to refine things. Then you do it a couple hundred more trades. And then you can just kind of keep going from there. And then you'll find a model that fits you. And then you can begin forward testing and executing it live. Yeah, you can't let go of them unless you understand where they're coming from. But you don't always need to have a reason for your emotions. Like if I took this loss here and I was just, pissed off and like I was like at my wit's end about it, there's no reason for me to do. There's no logical reason other than, oh, I took a loss and it upset me. That's fine. Let's move on from it. Right? So letting go is 100% what you have to do. Understand there doesn't need to be a reason for everything. And it quite literally, most of the time, is just your ego being hurt. But you have to get over that. We don't have a whole lot going on here, folks. Honestly, this hourly candle. Somebody asked me, what the influence of this hourly candle will have on the next hour. Not a whole heck of a lot. It closed bullish. We swept this high, failed to close above it. We had that SMT in place there. If you want to trade this, you're free to, but I'm going to sit back and wait for the range to get popped. Because there's nothing here for me. Where I lean is probably going to be shorts to this low here. How we operate at that low is going to be telling. Is it going to want to create SMT at the low and then give a setup? Or is it going to want to dump through the low, use it as resistance to target previous daily low? That's kind of where we're at. Viewers are dropped off already. That's probably because there's nothing going on. But quite honestly, I think this was honestly a really good stream. Took one loss today. We are on such a cold streak. Whenever I stream, I'm not getting anything, and then after stream, if I catch any wins, it's after that. So it's kind of annoying, but that's okay. We executed the model correctly today. We didn't fall into any sort of traps or emotions or anything. There was no mistakes made. I can go about my day very confidently, happy that I did what I thought was right and what was right by my model. So that's what I'm looking at right now. This is just trading in a range. I really, really liked the whole equity curve thing and then making a mistake and then making another mistake. That breaking point thing that I talked about. I want you guys to remember that. That's gonna be super. That's super, super good information. I might actually clip that. But yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. I appreciate you guys. Any update on the back testing? Yes, I will be working on it. When it's released, you'll know. Just let me take care of it. I will speak to you guys tomorrow. We're trading tomorrow morning. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Be careful today. It's kind of choppy right now. There's not really much going on. So be smart. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And we'll speak to you guys later. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.